Hey, y'all, listen, happy Friday. Welcome in the building. It is Friday, it's trending topics, and you know the title is called Sad Times. This one story I'm going to talk about, I think we all suspected that this was going to happen. Baby Emmanuel Haro, his parents was arrested. And the parents were arrested on unaliving charges. No, they have not found the body as of this moment, but I don't think anybody's shocked that the parents got arrested. We've been following this story all week and waiting for this moment, really, to tell you the truth. Waiting for this moment because these parents were shady from the beginning, and they got even shadier as we begin to learn the family history. And the family history on both sides is just ugly. This father, though, should have been in jail. So the system failed baby Emmanuel because his stepsister is in horrific shape, alive, but horrific shape. And it was by the hands of Jake Haro. So he should have never been in the streets to impregnate anybody else, let alone marry somebody else. So here we are. And baby Emmanuel is gone. I don't know what they did with the baby's body. I don't know if it's on that huge property. But I say for the moment, justice is served because they was arrested with no bail. Very sad. How does this man get 6 months and he was found guilty of harming his own child? And I always have to reference a recent case, the Sean Diddy Combs case, where they refused to give him bail. He's such a danger, but you got a man who literally, the child is blind, can't talk, walk, or eat on their own. She gets fed through a feeding tube, and this man did 6 months. You got to make that make sense. Sad times. Then listen, all of you out there that receive vouchers for housing, Section 8, or maybe perhaps you live in some rent-controlled apartments. Well, hold on, buckle your seatbelt. Because many voted for him, and you know me here, I'm not going to tell nobody who to vote for, who not to vote for, none of that. I ain't doing none of that. But now, they're saying that our new press, number 47, they said you're going to get 2 years on Section 8. 2 years on Section 8. And when them 2 years is up, the gig is up. I don't know what you're going to do. Now, I will say this. I think what name do I want to use for them? The people who abuse systems, and they're on Section 8 for 20 years, and then their kids is on Section 8, and grow up to be on Section 8 and all that. I think they make it hard for everybody. I do. So because they abuse programs that are meant to be a temp situation until you get yourself together, some of them, they stay on it forever. I know people who rent, their portion was literally $30. Yeah, come on, thank you, Juice. Glad to see everybody out there. The manipulators. I like that word. They manipulate the system. I've known people who rent was literally $30. That's all their portion was. And they wouldn't even pay the $30. Listen, I gotta say this respectfully. You a whole bum if all you have to pay is $30 a month and you won't even pay that. You're a bum. It's ridiculous. So we're going to talk about it. You know, first he put the gavel down and said that if you get in SNAP benefits, you will no longer be able to purchase junk food. And now, if you're a recipient of Section 8, you got 2 years to get your life together. And after that, I guess you're going to have to pay the market going rent like everybody else. Get your life together. But we're going to talk about it. The last story I'm going to talk about, I did not know this young lady. But, you know, I'm not, I don't know how to utilize makeup myself. Anytime you see me with makeup on, I guarantee you somebody did it for me. So 9 times out of 10, the only time you're going to see me in makeup on is I'm going somewhere like somebody's wedding, something like that, somewhere special. And trust and believe, someone did my makeup. I didn't do it myself. So I'm not big into the makeup. I have nothing against it. I just don't know how to do it myself. So, you know, I'm not big into it. Like I'll use some lip gloss, I'll get some lipsticks, and I'll do some eyeliner myself. But that's the best I got. So that's why I didn't know this beauty mogul. Her name was Sharon Chuter. May she rest in peace. At 38 years young, she has died. And they say she died on a patio. They have yet to say, you know, what really the autopsy didn't happen yet. Don't know what happened to her. But this young lady started a beauty brand from scratch on her own. And then she was kicked out of her own brand. Kicked out of her own brand. And she was suing before she was found not alive. It's an interesting case. And I figured let's bring it forth so we can stay connected to it. But it's very sad too. It's very sad. At 38, she's gone. Now, I will say this, yes, spooky times we're living in. Prepare yourselves. Thank you, Mark. I see everybody out there. I appreciate y'all. Oh, look at, come on, Diva, I'm the makeup queen, though I can rock natural. You're a natural beauty, Diva. Oh, Fancy, I love you. And you know, like I said, I love makeup. I love every time my girlfriend does it and somebody does it for me, but I don't know how to do it myself. That's why I don't mess around. But this young lady, she admitted herself, she worked a lot. The only thing I want to say about this situation, and we'll get more into it when I get into the story, is have balance in life, guys. Don't let it be all work. It can't be all play because you got to live, right? You got to pay your bills. You don't want to be a moocher and have Section 8 and you only have to pay $30 and you won't pay that. But have a balance. She said there was days she would barely get any sleep. Your body needs rest. You got to stay hydrated. You got to exercise. You got to eat right. You got to have balance. So we're going to talk about her and we're going to see, I don't know what happened to her. We're going to talk about her and we're going to stay connected to this story. And when I find out what happened, I'll bring it back to you and let you know. But may she rest in peace. because she did a lot in her short time on this earth. She did a lot. She had challenged companies to expose how many of their people that worked in their company was minorities. She did a great thing, this young lady. May she rest in peace, and condolences to her family. But I appreciate y'all being here. So y'all know what time it is, right? I need a what in the chat? I need a choo-choo. Hold aboard, everybody. It is Saturday. Oh, I'm saying Saturday. I'm pushing my time. I'm sorry. It is Friday night, trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is called Sad Times. Baby Emmanuel. May he rest in peace. It's a sad day in the world when your own parents take your life. Now, I'm going to tell you my beliefs when we get into it. We got Section 8 shakeup and this beauty mogul, Sharon Chuter, gone too soon at 38. Let me bring, come on, Savannah. Hey, Savannah.
Hey, Diva. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Hey, Callie.
Hey, y'all. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Listen, we're going to get into this Emmanuel story. I'm not shocked that the parents were arrested. I just think it's sad. I think we all felt the same thing, that when the parents did the interview, something was very off. Not a tear flowed down the mother's face. It's just horrific and very sad. And then when we learned about the father's horrific history, it was heart-wrenching to know that this man was even walking the streets. You know, as I was talking to my girlfriend about this story, I said to her, you go figure. You got people, and I'm not saying that it's right, people. You got people that do these illegal dog fights, and they go to prisons for years, and it's dogs. And I'm not trying to minimize animals here. I'm just saying. But then you got this man that his baby was blind because of him, never can't walk because of him, can't talk because of him, and was strangled and can't even swallow because of him, but he got 6 months. This justice system needs a whole revamping because it doesn't make any sense. Now, let me get into this story. Let me share screen. Hold on one second. Let's show this first, and then we'll show them. I'll show more.
Investigation here at the family home a couple of hours ago. You know, as you mentioned, it was just last week that we were in fact on this front porch talking with this mother and father, Rebecca and Jake Haro, who appeared to be fighting back tears, begging for the public's help, saying their child had been kidnapped after Rebecca said she had been attacked. That was last Friday. 7 days later, both of them now under arrest, accused of murder. 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro now presumed dead. The boy's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, now under arrest, accused of murder. Sheriff's deputies sealing off the entire property as investigators search for clues as to what really happened to the baby. It's all starting when the boy's parents reporting him kidnapped at a Big Five parking lot more than a week ago in Yucaipa. The day after their report, the mother making this tearful plea for her boy to be returned.
Just give him back to me again. Please don't harm my son. Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, please.
But within a day of their interview with Eyewitness News, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying the parents had stopped cooperating with their investigation. Then came news of the father's criminal history, convicted of willful cruelty to a child 2 years ago.
He should have never have been let go with that whole situation, because this could have been prevented. I think the system failed these children, all of them.
Today, members of the community coming to the scene this morning, still in shock about everything that's happened.
Heart-wrenching for everybody. I'm a mother and a grandmother, so it's been emotional. I've been following it since it started, and it's taken a toll on me. I've been having a hard time sleeping at night and just trying to keep up with the updates.
And then when you found out this morning that they were arrested, accused
I
of
was
murder.
shaking. I was shaking.
Goosebumps. All up and down my arms, my legs, goosebumps, because I had a feeling.
Reagan Weiler from Banning saying she grew suspicious of the parents early on.
As soon as I saw their interview, I knew that something wasn't right. They weren't so like a normal parent would be, running up and down, screaming, crying. It felt weird.
And a memorial for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro continues to grow. At this point, the authorities do believe that he is dead, although he has yet to be found. Again, both of his parents under arrest, facing murder charges. Live in Cabazon, Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
What a disgrace. Okay, let me share screen again. Emmanuel Haro's shocking footage shows parents hauled off in handcuffs. So let's take a look. The rest of the parents of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro was nothing short of dramatic, and it's all on video. The video shows Jake and Rebecca Haro slammed in handcuffs outside their California home on Friday, surrounded by detectives from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Homicide Detail and Specialized Enforcement Division before being hauled off in a cop car. Authorities now believe baby Emmanuel is deceased, and the search for his remains is still ongoing. Both Jake and Rebecca were booked into a Riverside County jail without bail. So far, no one else has been arrested, and police say no other suspects are on the loose. TMZ broke the news earlier today. Law enforcement tells us a couple was arrested Friday morning and are now facing serious murder charges. The parents had claimed over a week ago Emmanuel was kidnapped from a Big Five sporting goods parking lot, but their story quickly raised red flags. Rebecca says she was attacked while changing Emmanuel's diaper and passed out after someone said, "Hola," and punched her. Investigators weren't able to rule out foul play, launching a full search of the Haro's home, which led to the seizure of Emmanuel's father's car. Oh my God. It's just very sad. But I mean, I'm not shocked by this. But Savannah, what are your thoughts?
Kudos to law enforcement for continuing to keep the pressure and their foot on the necks of the parents. As we all seen and became familiar with this story, immediately we saw the red flags and knew something wasn't right with not only the story but both those parents. and to learn the background and the history of the father, the monster. Well, both of them are monsters in my opinion. Um, with his previous children, it was just a matter of time. So I'm upset with media and how they're portraying, a tearful plea by the parents, or shocking. I don't think any of us are shocked. I think it was just a matter of time. They have to have sufficient evidence for them to charge them with M, and not allegations or suspicions of M. So there's more that the public is not being told, or that we're not privy to at this time, for law enforcement to go ahead and charge them with M. There has to be something. I've always thought that he's close to that house, wherever,
Yeah.
whatever they did, he's around that home. And they just, in my opinion, I think the father did something, and the mother is covering it up, and she's just as guilty, if that's the case, because the other children that now the cousin has custody of. And bless her heart for being such an angel in this story, for taking these children in with all their challenges, and sacrificing her life now, for these three children. I think the system failed, not once but many times. And I'm just glad that the other children are in a safer place, and I hope that uh, we get some answers soon, because I have a feeling, I think he's discovered, but they're just not letting the public know as of yet.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way too. And you know what, Savannah made some very good points. You're right. They got evidence, because they can't just go charging somebody with M and there's no evidence. Oh, this is so sad. Katrina, your thoughts?
Hey Diva, hey panel, hey chat. Um, I knew they was gonna get caught. This man is ridiculous, and I still blame CPS
Mm.
and the other stuff for this, because I'm not bringing race or anything in it, but we seen on live where this black girl, this black young lady, was in the hospital, had her baby. One of her, I think her first baby had passed away or did something, and they was there to take her baby away with the mom in the lobby. They wouldn't even let the mom come up. They was in the room to take her baby away. And this man, right, well, ain't no man, this monster went out there and hurt two children. Talking about he dropped the baby while he was bathing her. Lies. And then this woman that's, she's older than him. And you letting this man, you let this monster in your life. Was your self-esteem that low that you had to go to this? This is ridiculous. We got kids out here that born with deficiencies and disabilities, and here he up here making them that way when they're not even born that way, and then having more kids, and CPS didn't take their kids away. This baby could have been with somebody. Somebody could have made him happy, because you can look at him and see that he's already was going to have challenges in life, and he made it worse. But hold on. Okay. He made it worse. And wherever the little baby is, I just pray that he got some peace. If he is unalive, I know he has some peace. But these little this woman and this man, girl, you have no idea. But I'm gonna stop, because I've been said something I'm not supposed to stay on live. So I'm just gonna end it there. But they don't even need to be in jail. They don't even need to be in jail. Just let a cop take them out, and we'll never see them again. Put it that way. That's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you, Katrina. And Flip, you are correct. That social services system needs to be reworked because this is a crime. Callie, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is unbelievable still,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you think about what happened with the previous kids. And
Mm.
I'm wondering where the mother of or mothers of those older children are, because my thought is maybe they might be in jail. Maybe they were the ones that got the hard charge. Like maybe the mom was the one that
Mm.
got the big number, like the big charges. He was just like an accessory or a person that didn't call for help or whatever, and that's why he got so little time.
Mm.
I'm wondering if that is what went on in that situation. It's
Mhm.
really hard for me to believe that someone, especially a man, could injure a child like that and only get 6 months. But I could believe that the mom did it and he was just kind of charged with not getting help or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Something is there's something more to this backstory. And as far as that especially that part of San Bernardino, that's where Breaking Bad was supposed to be filmed, but they didn't have the budget. It is very
Mhm.
known for having a certain substance going through that community, and that substance being made in that community. And I mean, you see what the homes and the properties look like out there. And that poor child was probably somewhere out there on that weird looking makeshift property they got going on.
Mm.
Yeah, it's extremely hot out there. It's a lot of very eccentric people. It's a lot of poor people who are, they're almost like poor because it's like a choice. It's like their lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily
Mm.
poor because of, the system made them poor, if that makes any sense. It's just very weird out there. This doesn't shock me. I don't think this is the first time we've seen some weird case of something happening to children in that area, because some of these homes are isolated and they're not close to the neighbors. Or, I think there was one where somebody, they were had a whole house full of kids locked up out there.
Mm.
So I I don't think these people will ever see daylight again. I hope that the 2 year old is healthy and that the 2 year old can go on and lead a healthy life, because it seems like the other kids involved in this situation have lifelong injuries. It sounds like that little girl is just suffering, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I agree. Uh,
yeah.
it's sad.
Diva, if I may.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so I saw earlier on the Spanish news network, they interviewed family from the first mother, the mother of the 7-year-old that he was convicted for doing, making her the way that she is. The mother is battling addictions. She is not
Mhm.
in jail. She got the same sentence he did. They got parenting classes. She's just battling addictions and substances. So she is no good. She's the mother to the two oldest, which is the 7-year old and another little boy that the cousin also does have. He he has fetal alcohol syndrome, so he has also some challenges that he's dealing with. So the for his first wife or partner, the mother of the two children that the cousin cares for, has some severe challenges, but the mother was just as complicit in the improper care of those children as he was. So they received the same sentence. She's around there. She's not locked up. She's just um, lost in the streets doing her own thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I'm feeling that these people are on something, excluding the cousin. I think that they all are. This is like a group of people that do stuff.
mm,
Yeah, Savannah,
it,
you're right. He copped the plea. and admitted to his wrongdoing. And what I read, that he didn't even serve time in jail. It was they gave him probation, and he caught a plea, and it was supposed to be for 6 months. But what I read, he didn't even go to jail at all. And I thought they said he was in jail. He didn't even go to jail. He copped the plea and said that he admitted to his wrongdoing, and that's why he's out right now.
Well, we'll stay connected. Again, unfortunately, not shocked that they have been arrested. It's interesting to see who may break first. So, and the way that this dad is doing, he has a lawyer. She didn't have a lawyer, because I also read that. Like, how do you get a lawyer for yourself and not you and the wife? This guy is going to railroad her. She better wake up.
She gonna break, because the reason why they investigated went as deep as they did, because her stories kept changing. She kept adding and saying this happened, that happened, this happened, and they was looking into what she was saying and realized what she saying was a lie. And it was an organization that had put together the $5,000 to help find Emmanuel. And once they realized that she was lying with her testimony, they was the one that was pushing for the cops to find out what happened to Emmanuel.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, listen, if she's smart, she'll tell the truth first. So because her husband will railroad her. I really got that feeling. Savannah, yeah,
I'll agree with you, Diva. I think he's gonna railroad her. He's gonna put this blame on her, and he's a coward. Not only is he a monster, he's a coward. Yeah. And he likes being physical with women and children, but he will not survive going to prison. So he's gonna throw her under the bus.
I wholeheartedly agree, 100%. He's scary, and she better wake up. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and roll into the next story. And the next story that I'm going to do is, Section 8. Section 8 people out there. Be careful, beware. Let me see where this is at. I think this is it. I hope I didn't kick out of it. Oh, wait, my story might have unqueued up. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just go back and find it. I may skip to the next story so I can go back and find if I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Okay, I don't know why it kicked out. So Ghostface Killah, Trump shaking up Section 8. He said it's a bad move, but hey, voters made him president. It is what it is. Y'all picked them, so y'all got to deal with the consequences. Donald Trump, wait, let me skip. I could probably go in. Let's listen.
We're going to ask you about Donald Trump getting rid of Section 8. He said, listen, if you've been in Section 8 for 2 years and you're a working, able-bodied citizen that don't got no disabilities, you only got 2 years. How do you feel about that?
I mean, some people, the state of the people right now, some people are still struggling, man. 2 years, you know what I mean? They try to hurry up. I mean, we ain't even designed to get our shit together in 2 years. So you know what I mean? It's like, you know how the economy is and all this other shit. You can't even hardly find a job. You know what I mean? But I be thinking that sometimes just to get your ass up out of there and let whatever system is going to come in and take over that shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, you know what I mean? But I ain't with all that shit. You know what I mean? But, everybody voted them in. And, you know what I mean?
Right. So
that's what we get. That's what we get.
Do you think it's going to be like a ripple effect, as far as like people's independence or like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's good to get up off your ass and just go get busy and work. You know what I mean? But, I ain't gonna front though. Section 8 do come in handy for certain people though.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm one of those, like my old dirty bastard to be like, yo, that we need that. You know what I mean? That's my, you know what I'm saying? Excuse my language, but that's what it is though. Like, you know what I mean? But Supreme Clientele, August 22nd.
And we just got you in LA.
We just got in LA.
Yes.
LA. So it's here now. The countdown is here.
We love that for you. Congrats.
Thank you.
So we got to ask you one more question. It's a little tricky, but it's not too bad. So I know you mentioned that, Diddy had a hand in trying to keep Wu-Tang off the radio, but I know in 2002, I was definitely getting busy to special delivery.
Oh, yeah. That was Diddy record.
But of course, guys today. Must be in a good place. You know, I know you.
Who?
You and Sean Combs, did he?
Oh yeah, I mean, his situation right now.
Right, of course.
But other than that, before that, it was cool. I didn't know that was going on really like that until like we had an idea back then, but then you don't think about that throughout the whole rest of the other years. So it was like it was like until when he said it was like, yo, then he told him that, then it was like, oh, but it was what it is. I ain't mad. It's like, man, that's 30 years ago. So
I love that.
No, I mean, we here, baby.
Very mature of you. So what's next? Got the album, Supreme Clientele. What else can we talk about, throw in here before we let you go?
Listen, I don't want to spill too much, but we got video games under Microsoft, doing all the other stuff like that. Yeah, so just look for us like in another 6-7 months, and we're gonna keep it moving, man. The whole clan, man. Wu-Tang forever, man. It's forever. Just remember that.
So Donald Trump wants his administration to shake up the country's Section 8 benefits to just 2 years of eligibility. Yet Ghostface Killah thinks the proposed policy will just make things worse. The Wu-Tang Clan legend knows it's not easy making project housing ends meet. TMZ Hip Hop caught up with Ghost in New York, rolling with Nims and the crew in the wake of his new album, Supreme Clientele 2, a 25-year update on his original classic release. Ghost kicks off the album on Waxing Politics, being the track, Iron Man, Fake Democrats, Boom Daggers, Blowing at Trump, and straight up tells us the American people got what they voted for. New York University estimates that the Trump administration proposal could disrupt 1.4 million working family households with kids. Ghostface, having experience growing up in Staten Island Stapleton houses projects, believes this will happen if the 2-year push is enforced. Wu-Tang is for the children and the American people. We also got Ghostface Killah to clarify his relationship with Diddy after revealing Wu-Tang Clan will block from radio airplay in favor of bad boy rollouts, but everything is good in the hood with them now. Section 8 or not Section 8, the Wu revolution continues, backed by Nas' mass appeal. What are we thinking about this Section 8 situation, Savannah?
This people should not be surprised, because this was in Project 2025 of how they were going to cut the funding to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, to HUD. So I'm not surprised that he is coming after Section 8. And I agree a lot with what Ghostface stated. Putting a 2-year cap on people who live off Section 8, or I just think it's going to increase, in my opinion, it's going to increase homelessness. It's going to increase housing instability on the market. It's going to make landlords take their properties off the program, so there's going to be less units available, because a lot of landlords depend on this program to pay for their properties. So, and then I also think of the families that are on it, and I know a few that abuse the system, but I also know a couple, many families that depend on this system to be able to live in a neighborhood where their children have a fighting chance. I just think he's not 47 is not going to be very subtle about what he's going to do and how he's going to disrupt this program. So I think the people who are on it are going to need to be prepared. Minimum wage is still nationally at $7.25, although most states have raised it to $15. That's still not enough to rent a decent apartment in a area where you don't have to worry about your children playing outside. So this is gonna make neighborhoods, I think, more violent. I think the streets are going to be filled with people who are not able to find decent housing, and it's just his way of attacking the poor. Because one thing that 47 hates is poor people, in my opinion.
Mm.
So this is, I'm not surprised. I really wasn't. It was in Project 2025, and when the Republicans come back to uh, to the Senate or to Congress next here in September after the holidays, it will be on the ballot, and things are going to start shifting. So uh, I just think folks need to pay attention and be prepared.
Oh gosh. Callie, your thoughts?
I think that this is a trend of, in my opinion, 47 being in denial about what the economy actually is. Do I believe that these people are going to be able to go out and find jobs that pay a living wage? No. I'm sorry, I just don't. You know, here's the thing. On before all of this changing around, it's all this stuff that he's trying to do. Something else happened before that. And what happened before that was, ironically, the reason why people voted for him. But then he gets in and is actually doing every single thing to make that situation worse. And this is not just the Section 8. It was when he was trying to get people to go back into the office. I personally know people who have relocated for cheaper housing because they're working remotely. They physically cannot go back into an office. And they can't afford to move back to LA or Las Vegas or New York or New Orleans or wherever they were living. They moved to a small town where they could purchase a home and lead a different life. But now that you want this person to go and sit at a desk at an office because you want people to make money off commercial real estate, this person is in a stuck situation, and they're trying to figure out what they now can do to avoid homelessness. Okay, so now you got these people. So now you got these people that were on Section 8. All of these people are going to be trying to get the same jobs. And not only that, you have people that are on Section 8 that are not necessarily taking advantage of the system. They're somewhere in the middle of, they're not unstable enough where they need to be in an institution or where they can even qualify for benefits, but they're not stable enough where they can go out and get a good paying job. I think we all know people like that. Maybe they've had trauma. They were just raised in an unstable household. They might have had substance issues, whatever. A lot of the people that are on Section 8 are not disable-bodied people that are realistically even living in an area, because a lot of people living in small rural towns are on Section 8, that are even realistically living in an area where there is a job available that's going to pay them enough to pay rent. This is something that is completely unrealistic. But when someone showed him the actual job numbers, he wanted to get rid of that person because he doesn't want to accept what he has done to the economy is actually made things worse. And people sitting up here, well, that's what they voted for. Can we be honest and say why people voted for this man? People voted for this man because in everywhere, all over the country, if you were anywhere where they had a lot of people that were here illegally, we were being pushed out of our communities and jobs. That is why people voted for this man, because nobody else seemed to care or want to do anything to stop that from happening. If anything, they were making that worse. Nobody voted for this other stuff he was doing. They was just willing to take a gamble on hopefully he won't do that. But it's like now it's like, okay, well, everyone has turned against us. That's how I feel as a working class person. You want to have AI. You want people to have more children. Okay, but there's no jobs for those children. And even if there are, are they going to realistically, are the kids that are children now going to be able to grow up and purchase a home? I mean, probably not. Like to me, it's like both sides got together and decided that, okay, we're not going to have the middle class anymore. We're going to push everybody into poverty in the next couple of generations. And one person has their tactic and another person has their tactic. And the only thing I can say is that we need to wake up soon and stop these people somehow. Because we got millennials that are going to be retirement age in 10 or 20 years. None of them have retirements or own homes. There are so few millennials that are homeowners and have actual retirement funds that you might as well not even mention them. The number is so small. It's just ridiculous. These people are going to retire one day. What is going to happen to those people? So I just feel like we as the public, as a collective whole, we need radical change that we are going to have to make. And we need to wake up before, I'm just picking a country because I travel to Mexico all the time. Before, this is literally Mexico in the sense that, yeah, you got beautiful homes and stuff, but 90% of the people can't afford a house. And 90% of the people are poor and living in rundown buildings, in old apartments, no electricity, no plumbing, dilapidated, because that is what the economy has turned into. That's what I see happening here. I see that we are creating the same problem that they have in Mexico. Because Mexico is not a third world country. It's just that their economy is just not set up right. What I see happening here. So am I shocked? No. But do I think something needs to be done about these two parties? Yes. And it needs to be done yesterday. Because I'm telling you, we are literally in a generation. We are literally going to be, and somebody can go down to Mexico, go around. You'll see nice homes look just like my house, but most people can't afford them. That is what it is going to be in a generation here.
Whew. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, what it is that Trump wants this country to be lily white. Somebody JoJo in the comments just said this, and I agree with him. They trying to squeeze black people, brown people, vulnerable people, squeeze them so hard till we have to beg. That's what he eventually wants to get to. We so low. He got us down so low that we have to beg. And like Callie said, if we don't do something, this is like somebody just had a puzzle or something, took it all apart. Now they can't put it back together. The system is almost so broken that if this continues, when Democrats are back in power, it's a lot to put back together. So that's what he's doing. You notice the news is not mainstream news is not saying things about the economy, about inflation, because he's saying, oh, there's no inflation. He said gas was $2 a gallon. I don't know where gas is $2 a gallon. But he's saying all this stuff, and it's going to hit us hard. It's going to hit us hard. It's coming. It's going to hit us hard. If we don't do something, I'm glad Gavin Newsom is doing what he's doing. Because if we just stand here and let this happen and just try to be, take a punch for it all, we're going to be lost. Because This is some serious stuff for people out there that don't believe it. This is some serious stuff. The things they're trying to do. And Trump is trying to put people, as he might say it, back in their place. Trump don't care about nobody but Trump. Since when have you had a pedophile, an aura, all that, and they giving you instructions on how to live? He doesn't care about. It doesn't matter if any of the things in place are actually working. Okay, sure, nothing's going to be 100%, but they're working. Like DC. DC's on a 30-year low on crime and other things. But he wanted to go in anyway. Anyway. So I can say, y'all do what you got to do, because this, I think that the stuff is going to hit the fan. I'm done.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. 48, your thoughts?
Hey Diva, hey panel. Okay, so I have like a different view. I don't agree with Trump, like his way of thinking, right? But I look at this as a plus for the Black community, or foundational Black Americans, as like we like to be called today, FBA. To me, it's a call to come back to community, like I always say. We have to be honest and we have to be real that this program does have people, lots and thousands of people, regardless of their race, that take advantage of the program. And to me, when other people had the power to fix these things that they saw that was wrong, because it was obvious that people were taking advantage of these programs way back in the day, that they didn't fix it. It's just like with other laws that they could codify and they don't. They let it go on into the next administration, then it changes up. So we got to be real with that. We have to take some responsibility in that. But I also think that with this radical change that he's doing, it also needs to be a radical reaction, like Wayne and Callie is saying. Like, people need to rise up, but we need to rise up with a solution. The solution of just continuing to let people receive these benefits for 15, 20, 30 years, dying off, and this a single mom up the street in a studio apartment, a hotel, waiting on a 15-year waiting list. It makes absolutely no sense. I think that it should be a term limit on these type things. And then if you take in also what Callie was saying, people that just, make, everybody don't want to go to damn college. Everybody don't want to do that. Some people want to get out of school with their high school diploma. Some people just want to get their GED. Some people came from a place to where they're thankful that they just have a job and able to keep a roof over their head. Okay. So I think with individuals like that, or what we would call the working poor, there should be a continuing section 8 type of program that assists these people with rent. If we're not going to make rent stop at a certain price, or get these landlords under control, because I could care less about the landlords. The landlords are worried about their check, instead of worrying about, well, you know what, instead of me worrying about getting this government check, let me just go off of what these people make and let's work something out together. You know what I'm saying? If I know I'm in a low income area where everybody around me working at McDonald's, maybe $2,000 a month, but you want to continue to help this family, why don't you take a pay cut in it? You could do that. It's ways to help people if you really want to help people and you don't want to depend on the government. But I could care less about the people that are getting the actual money, our taxpayer money, for these properties. It needs to be a way to, yes, to uplift the working poor, because we see that they're still stuck in the same situation. I know people that, it's a lady that I go to, Diva, at this McDonald's. My oldest son is 21. This
Mm-hmm.
lady been there since my son been born,
Mm.
and she still is working there. Now, do I know her personal life? Like, no, but she ain't driving like a Mercedes. You know what I'm saying? She, sometimes I still see her get off the bus in front of the McDonald's because it's right there in front of the store.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals like that, yeah, they need help. But individuals that can get they up, work, save your money. Black people always, I'm gonna talk about my people, we always saying that we're not taught finances. Well, this is a great opportune time to start offering your professional Black services. The people out there that could do that, why don't you start offering these classes and showing people how to save money, how to invest without a fee? Just be a blessing. Try to help get each other out of poverty. So am I upset that some people will actually, like, be thrown on their butt? Yeah, and I don't think that's right. I think it should be a case by case scenario. I don't think that's right. It's a mom who's been working at McDonald's. She just got on Section 8, been on there for 3 years, and she finally getting her, herself together, Diva, going to school, paying her bills on time. Then you just want to kick her out at 6 or 8? No. But folks that's been on there for like 15, 20 years, yeah, I'm gonna need you to like get your stuff together and make room for these new people, or like Callie said, these millennials that need to come in and take advantage of the program. It's just that people are on it too long. If you're not disabled, you're not a veteran, you haven't served this country, you don't need to be on there for life. I don't want to pay for somebody that could get up, and I struggle, other people struggle, we all got a damn struggle. But everybody didn't have the opportunity to get on Section 8. Have you seen news channels in your local cities when they open up the Section 8? Diva, you should see how it be in Houston when they open up the Section 8. People be running to them people doors to try to get a voucher and be out there for hours and hours and be fussing and fighting, and it looked absolutely crazy to me. It shouldn't be that chaotic to get assistance in a country that all of us are chipping in to help one another.
I
But
agree with you.
but
Yeah.
that's all I got.
No, I appreciate you. This is a double-edged sword, right? Because you have the working poor, and they're barely being able to make ends meet. And then when we do have programs, the program guidelines are so ridiculous. It's like, okay, well, who can fit into those guidelines? If you have 3 kids and you make less than $18,000, it's all of these parameters. But yet you could be out there working hard and you still need help, but you can't get it because you $1 or $2 over the guidelines that they set. And then if you do happen to be within the guidelines and now you make 2 cents over, they don't even give you a minute. They're ready to come at your neck. And you like, okay, but hold on. Can you give me a minute to catch up and to level up before you tell me I got to pay more? So it's just very sad. And I think the hardest thing, which some schools are trying to do now, the hardest thing about going to school is then you come out and you really not going to have the American dream, because if you didn't have the money to pay while you was there and you got student loans, well, now that's going to slice you in half, right? So the world is set up in the craziest way, I'll say that, where it's a balancing act that you gotta figure out and play out. And Emmanuel said something in the chat, and I do remember from The View, Sonny Houston said that education is a great equalizer. It is a good equalizer. So to me, I think there's got to be something has to happen, right? Either you have to maybe start your own business if you're going to survive in this world, because this is the way they set it up, right? Either you got to start your own business, you got to do some type of trade. You don't have to go to college. I mean, I know people that own salons, hair salons, barbershops, raking in the dough. But I think you have to figure out something to equalize yourself, because the minute you have to depend upon the government, they're going to keep you under your foot is going to be on their foot is going to be on your neck, and they're always going to control you. Just like now what they're saying with the SNAP benefits, just because you're poor, you can't buy a bag of chips on your benefits. You can't have a soda. And listen, this stuff, everything is about moderation. Of course, you know, if you eating chips all day and soda, it's not good for you. But because I don't have the money and I'm down and out, I can't have a bag of chips or a soda. That's when you get these people in the streets acting the fool. I don't know if y'all saw the video of these young boys, and they didn't even look like they was homeless enough and starving, but it was a video of these young boys, and they was, I think it was Walmart or Walgreens, and they was stealing. And I think that you will have more of the crazy when you start to just pull away these benefits. But I also do think that benefits need to be controlled better, because there are some people that are on it forever. And I know some people that work and they will make sure they don't go over the 20 hours or whatever, because they don't want their benefits to go away. And I think that those benefits should be used as a temp situation versus a permanent situation. Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay. Let me break this down. People that's on Section 8, as you say, Diva, they have to work. Now, housing authorities, that's a different thing from Section 8. Most housing authorities, you are in basically the projects. But Section 8, you can go out and get a house. Now, to be on Section 8, as you say, you have to work. You have to contribute to it. And it's based on your income. So if you pushing these people out in the streets, when you got the rent that's up to $1,900, $2,100 a month, and they just now barely making it, paying what they're paying already, which I would say like 200, 300, whatsoever, because it's based on their income. So if you taking that away, and these apartments now, a 2-bedroom apartment somewhere is mostly like 1,200, sometimes some of them 1,700. It all depends on what area you in. And they do have apartments based on your income, that you don't have to be on Section 8. It's based on what you make. So that is an option that's out there. But to push these people, and I'm not saying everybody should stay on this system forever. And sometimes, like you say, you got to get a game plan. But how you going to get me to pay this amount of rent when you ain't giving me this amount of money on my job? And no, it's not their responsibility. But if you going out there trying to work, trying to make it, you want me out here doing all this, but you're not paying me. And as we said, the system is what he talking about, the Mexicans and the immigrants taking our jobs. How many black people you finna see go work in the field and pick some blueberries? How many black people that you see, really see, that's out there putting up houses? How many
Those
black
are not
people?
the jobs that they take. That's
No,
propaganda.
that's what Trump said. That's what
No,
Trump
I'm
said.
saying the
No, what I'm
jobs
saying
that they
is,
have,
okay, hold
they're
on.
not picking fruit.
But listen, the ones that was picking fruit that's on these farms was mostly immigrants, and they're gone. And Trump said that they was taking the black jobs. The black jobs was they was on the farms picking fruit, they was doing farm work, they was building houses. That's what he said, that they're taking our jobs.
Can I say something to that? Because I live in a place that's very impacted by illegal immigration. That the amount of people that are working on those farms is such a small percentage of illegal immigrants. I don't even know why we're even still talking about those people. Just give them a work visa and let's move on. That is propaganda. Those are not the jobs that they are taking.
Well, that's the jobs that I see them taking, because I'm not going to be out there picking no
Okay,
damn
so
blueberries.
let me circle back. Let's bring it back together and bring it in. Let's narrow it down back to this Section 8. the problems it's going to cause, and how, unfortunately, I think just across the board, when people are given benefits, they're not giving a way out, or just a blueprint to see themselves out of said situation. And what do I mean by
Yeah.
that? I go back to the simple saying of, you give a man a fish, he's going to eat for the day. You teach the man to fish, and he will eat for life. So we gotta, along with everything else, we gotta give some teaching, because if you don't know, and I give you Section 8 for 2 years, 2 years later, you're still not going to know. So I got to give some teaching, and it does have to be some maybe mandatory programs to help you say, okay, how do I get a better job? But I go back, because something you said to me triggered in me, 48. It should be no reason why, if I do work at a McDonald's or a fast food, that 10, 15, 20 years later, I'm not making more money. It's just, the whole system is just jacked up. And this happens in general jobs too. A lot of people, they job hop, not because they don't like their job, but if they stay in their current job, that current job refuses to kind of raise them up. And they'll get people that come in after that are doing the same job and making more money than them. But because they've been there and been dedicated, they're stuck in this lower bracket of a salary. It's a lot going on. But I feel like that you should always have to raise people up to a level where they can at least take care of themselves and not have to work 30 and 40 jobs. And if I dedicated myself to a job, my pay should reference my dedication in some sort. I guess I'm trying to say. Katrina, did you want to finish your thoughts?
Yeah, and that's another thing, Diva, too. Say, for instance, I'm on the job for 7 years. I have reached my capacity of how many raises I'm going to get. They're not going to raise me up. But then another person can come in making more than I'm making, because mine's already been set to that price. And we see this all the time in medical fields and all every place else. You could be working these jobs, but a person can come in under you and be making more money than you making, and you've been there for years. And the thing is, like when they saying, and I'm bringing it back to Section 8 and all that type of stuff. And what I'm saying is, if he pushed these people out, just like when these people came from the pandemic, they raised these people rent that was on Section 8. The people couldn't even afford to get back into their apartments. They was living in their cars. And I saw this. I seen this. I don't just come up here and say things that I don't know that's factual or that's true. And I don't try to put out any type of propaganda or anything like that. But we see this. So these people are living in their cars. I've seen people sleeping in their cars at Walmart because they can't afford their houses anymore. And the houses is not coming down; they're going up and up. You got rent. People rent their houses out for 2,000 and 3,000. And people are doing it because they have no other choice. Either their credit ain't good to get the house, so they're pushing out money, and that's not money that you ever gonna see again. Because when you rent from somebody, that's never gonna be yours unless you rent to own. So that's money you ain't threw away. But if you ain't got the credit, you got to do what you got to do. And that's why you see so many people. That's why you see so many kids getting out of college. They moving back home with their parents because they can't afford it. Because their college fees, their student loans. Sally Mae is coming. She don't care if you work. She don't care if you living on the bridge. She's coming. And what I'm saying is, the student loans, what Biden tried to wipe out, they went against it. But these people can get these PPP loans and haven't paid back a dime. That's what I'm saying. And if I'm not saying nobody shouldn't go to college or these get their degrees whatsoever, but go to technical college. You can be HVAC, engineer, beautician, nursing. I mean, those are the jobs that you really gonna need in this life, because AI is gonna take all the computer jobs. So you know you're gonna always need a nurse. You know you're gonna need somebody to always fix an air conditioner. You know you're gonna always want your hair and nails done. Those are the jobs that I would be preferring for people to go, and they don't have to pay all that money to get into that field. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm just saying it's for the ones that want to go ahead and make it and don't have to pay back all those college fees. That's what I'm saying. And then, like I said, with the Section 8 thing, it's a mess. But these people, like you said, they got to get a game plan because the rent is not going down. The rent is going up. So I feel for them. I care. And I don't want to see nobody being homeless, regardless of the fact. I don't want to see nobody out there. Nobody grow up and say, okay, I want to be homeless when I grow up. Nobody go there. You see people, look what happened to the black man the other day in
All
New
right,
York. Folks
Katrina.
just took his house. It's
Thank
just
you.
ridiculous. Okay, that's all.
Wayne, did you speak on this already?
Yes.
Okay. Keisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm conflicted. I'm with everybody on the panel, definitely. But then when I hear about this type of stuff, it's weird because I know 47 doesn't care about us, our people. But then when I hear about it, I'm like, because I've seen people in this situation and I've heard both sides, like what we're talking about. So I'm conflicted because I'm like, just like what you guys said, if a person is on this for a long time, that cripples them. And I think that's the stuff that we need in place is the plan. And I'm like 47, some of the stuff he comes out with, even the stuff with buying the chips, the juice, stuff. I have friends, and I had an ex-boyfriend and he had that. And I remember that was his thing at 12 o'clock when he knew he was getting his money on his card. That's the only place he wanted to go was the gas station and buy snacks. And I was thinking to myself at that time, I'm like, wow, I have a job making this much money. I still could use help. And he's rushing. He doesn't have the mentality to think that was a bad choice on my part, but he doesn't have the mentality to think I need to go buy this. Maybe I could help somebody out. The only thing he was thinking, oh, I can go to the gas station and get this. I can go get some snacks. So I'm like, is that a bad thing that he's getting rid of that stuff? But with the Section 8 type thing and the government assistance, I don't know. I'm so confused because I feel like putting this in is not something bad, like, just honestly. And I agree with Katrina and everybody else because just like you said, the woman at McDonald's, and I know so many people too, but I think they can get on the programs and they can just get handicapped, and then you can have other people that do need it and they can't get on the program because the other person's been on the program for 20 years. And now the person that's coming up, like the millennial or the new people, they can't get it because this other person's been on it. But I think if we put those stipulations in there and they have to have things where they can only be on it for 2 years, 3 years, maybe 47. I know it's probably crazy to think because I know that's not his plan. But in my plan, I'm thinking if we see it from this way, this is a way for us to level the playing field between all of us, because that won't be a crutch. We can get that. We know we can't be on that forever. Like before in the past, we can't be on that forever. Here is a stepping stone, and this is what we have to do in the future. But right now we have Medicaid, we have this, we have all these things that are just a crutch for us. And that's the way they want us to stay. And I was trying to look up the female's name, but I remember she was in cahoots with Phaedra whenever Phaedra and Apollo had that stuff going on when they were doing all that illegal stuff. And I think she was pardoned by Trump. And I read this like a long, long, long time ago. It might have not been Trump, another president, but I read it a long time ago. And now she's a Republican. And I remember hearing, I was like, how is she that? But she was the same thing. This was a long time ago, but she was talking about the same stuff, the Section 8 stuff, the Medicaid, the food stamp, how this stuff is a crutch for us. And this is the stuff they wanted us to be a long time ago. They put this stuff in place to keep us on a different playing field for them. And they knew we would fall into it. And we did. And now we need to rise above it and say, okay, I don't have to be on Section 8 for 20 years. Maybe, and when he keeps doing these things, I'm like, maybe he's doing this stuff and he's thinking it's going to hurt us. But maybe in the long run, maybe we can rise above this and show them that, look, you tried to block us down, but we didn't even realize it was a crush. Now we got this, now we got that. And I think I'm hoping that it can be better. And I'll stop. But based on what Wayne was saying, like some radical stuff, and I don't even know what we can do, but everyday stuff is getting out of hand. And I'm just like, I talked to one of my people I work with, and I said, I'm so frustrated. Every day we listen to Don Lemon, we listen to stuff on TV. Everybody's talking about what's going on, but what are we actually gonna do? Like, I feel like there's more people in the world that don't really like what's going on, but why are we not organizing? Why are we not doing anything? If 47 was that strong to organize something like January 6th, why can't we organize something? Why is nobody doing anything to organize? Why we knew he stole the election? Why are we not doing anything? So I'm a little frustrated about that, but I'm like, maybe I start my own YouTube or Twitch or something, but why are we not doing anything? Because I feel like there's more people. We can do enough stuff to get him out of the White House, but we're just talking about it, but nobody's doing anything. That's it, Diva.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, good evening, everybody, and what an interesting conversation. Something as simple as Section 8 has brought out a lot of facts and a lot of emotion. I don't know what's going on in the country, but I know what's going on here in New York City. I know what's going on in Brooklyn. And this is not to bring conflict, but to bring clarity. We don't see Section 8 here as a crutch. When a one-bedroom apartment is $3,000, and your anticipated share, if you have been blessed to get a Section 8 voucher, is about $1,200, that's pretty darn good. Now, I don't know what's going on in the rest of the country, so I'm going to just talk about what goes on here. I just went to go look at an apartment. It wasn't even 350 square feet. And they wanted $2,745. And your utilities were not included. In fact, everything ran on electricity, and you were responsible for your electric bill, which included heat and hot water. So a voucher isn't a crutch here. A voucher makes sense when the market value of what you're renting is probably somewhere in the realms of running you, maybe if you had to pay out of pocket on a base income, impossible. Now, I don't know about Medicaid in terms of who needs Medicaid or why they don't need it, but I know it's a falsehood. It is a fake statement. It is untrue that it ain't us, because it ain't Black people who are the majority of people on these programs. So, folks, go look at the data. We're not the recipients in majority of Social Security, disability, SSI, SNAP, so forth, and so on. It's also inaccurate that somebody who went to work at fast food 21 years ago cannot do better. If they're happy at fast food for 21 years and they appreciate the struggle, let them stay. I don't recommend anybody work at fast food. It should be, if it's not, one of the top most dangerous jobs to have in this country. And when college is referred to as damned, well, excuse me, I happen to agree with Sonny. Education is the great equalizer. That's what gets most people out of poverty. And it's not going to college necessarily. Yes, you can go to trade school. You can go to vocational school. You can become an entrepreneur. You may be gifted and have a special talent. But how are you going to explore any of that given 21 years to McDonald's? And at 21 years, I would have hoped she would have been able to find some way to buy her own franchise. Or am I wrong to expect that we should want to do and be better? I'm stunned by some of the comments. I know where I live, everybody's got the hustle on. And even those who may not be hustling in the values that many of us may be looking at, they're still hustling to get that substance. They're hustling to figure out how they're going to eat today. They're going to hustle to figure out where they're going to eat tomorrow. But I am really done with this whole aspect that, it's Black people who are holding on and abusing this and abusing that. You still have to pay your rent with a housing voucher. Nobody's giving you anything. You still have to pay your utilities. I'm done.
Diva, can I say one thing real quick?
Yes, you can.
I just want to say, and I agree with you, Felicia. That's why I'm so twisted on both sides, because I know it's needed and I know I've seen on both levels. But I just want to say, and I know it's off topic, but I want to say something about the restaurant industry because that's where I come from. I'm college educated. Well, I work in corporate, like I told you guys. Now I work in corporate, and I have worked in corporate in Waffle House. I came from the restaurant industry as a manager. And when I was in school, well, when I first graduated college, I worked as a lobbyist, like I told you guys. And I remember my dad came to see me. I worked at Red Lobster in Columbus, Georgia, and my dad came to see me. He worked for the chief of police. He was a detective. Well, before he retired, and he came to see me. He said, "Don't get used to this money." And I said, "No, I won't." It was easy money. It was a good job, but I have great customer service skills, and I was there, and I was like, "I like this job." So I said, "I won't." I ended up graduating, worked as a lobbyist, ended up getting hired at Joe's Crab Shack, and I worked there for about 8, 9 years. Front of house manager, kitchen manager, general manager, all that stuff. But I just want to say, and I completely understand what Felicia said. It is a very, very dangerous job, but it's one of those jobs where you can probably make the most money that you've ever had. And like I said before, out of all my jobs that I had, the restaurant industry is the industry where I made the most money. And when I had my own restaurant at Waffle House is the only place that paid me a bonus every year for having my college degree. Not even at any other job. That job was the only job that gave me a bonus, $5,000, just for being at my restaurant, just for having my college degree. So I know a lot of people don't know a lot about the restaurant industry, but don't turn your nose about it, because if you really in there to hanging out, you make a lot of money. And that's how I bought my cars. That's how I bought my apartments. That's how I'm able to say I'm financially stable because of the restaurant industry. That's how I learned how to be in corporate and be a recruiter. So I just wanted to say that.
And I thank you for saying that, but I got to tell you, Keisha, I don't know what a Waffle House is. I don't know if it's fast food. I don't know if it's fine dining. I don't know any of that, but I know McDonald's is fast food. I know Burger King is fast food. And I tell my young people all the time, don't work there. Look elsewhere.
And you're right too, because I just talked to my boss and I said, at my job, now I work in security, and like I said, I'm a recruiter, and I work from home now. And I told him, I said, when I think about it, when we have these talks with Diva and these panels, I tell him I'm so glad that I'm not teaching anymore and I don't work in the restaurant industry. And I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would definitely try to make them homeschool. But I don't even think I would want to go in the restaurant industry from the way employees are acting, because you can't even manage them anymore, and it's dangerous. So I totally agree with you with that, Felicia.
Diva, can I say something?
Yes, you can. 48.
I want to say that I think that Miss Felicia calling me out a little bit, but I think that you kind of misunderstood a little bit of what I'm saying. I don't think that, one, I understand that Black Americans aren't the number one people on any welfare program in the United States, because it's really not for us. And if we do get access to it, they try to make it a shaming tactic. So let me be clear, it's nothing shameful about being on Section 8 or anything like that. Now, when I say that it's a crutch, what I'm referring to is, like I said in my comments, for people that are able body. And to me, I don't even think 2 years is a feasible, like, realistic time for someone to like save enough money, pay their bills, you know what I'm saying? And like really go through like some kind of financial literacy program. Here in Houston, they actually have programs like at the Workforce Solutions, things like that. If you are getting any kind of government assistance, you don't have a job, you have to go to this place and you have to look for employment, uh try to go to school or something like that to help yourself. So I don't think that it's a crutch for individuals, like I said, with disabilities, people that served our country, and the working poor. You know what I'm saying? I really do feel like the people that are the working poor, it should really be geared to, because I don't know too many middle class people that are on Section 8. I know people that, like Kat said, they actually have income based housing. But I actually know people that can't get income based housing because they make $100 over. In some cases, it's actually to the ridiculousness of like cents on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want I don't want it to come off like that. I'm just coming off as a Black American. Our ancestors didn't have a lot of these things. And then a lot of the things that they worked for, we got comfortable with. And instead of taking up the mantle and, like I said, codifying what they did, we just let it continue to go on and let different administrations take to, add from, and add, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to make that clear to anybody in the chat. I don't think that you have anything to be ashamed of. You get food stamps, you get thousands of that joker. I don't care if you can't get no chips, no candy, no snacks. Go buy you a half a cow, go buy you some flour, go buy you some sugar, go buy you some nuts, start learning how to make stuff yourself. Entrepreneurship, there you go.
Measure Man, I'm sorry I missed your super chat as it was going up. Did y'all see the amendment to the bill where we remove children over the age of 6 as dependents? I spent hours reading for myself. Our community needs fiscal literacy. Waiting on tax season ain't it. I agree with you. I think everybody here has some very good points. I appreciate all of your points here. And I think we all have valid points. I think for some people it is a crutch. And I'm not going to pull back from that. And I think no matter who you are, rent is expensive, mortgage is expensive, taxes is expensive. And if, I just think that a lot needs to be revamped so that everyone is being helped and it's an equalizer, so to speak. Thank you. I was able to pull it up. Measure Me, I appreciate you. I did not see the amendment to the bill, but it's a lot going on, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And I think that everybody, when it comes to work, there are some people, because of situations and circumstances, the only one that would give them an opportunity. We heard from the girl at Burger King the other day. She was grateful when the manager at Burger King gave her an opportunity. Why? Because she said she has a record and nobody else would. So sometimes you have to do something you don't want to do to get where you want to be. So I think it's never an end-all be-all answer to any situation. And I would just feel like that with situations of any type of help that is given, it should be some guidelines that come along with that help so that you're not stuck in that situation. So I'm going to move to the next story, but I want to say this. When I went to go to college, I got every program known to mankind. I got EOF. There was something else called SOG or something like whatever. I got every single benefit that was available. To God be the glory. I received it. But in receiving it, I was also had to go through certain programs so that for lack of a better word, Pell Grant. Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, I got all of that. For lack of a better word, so that the benefits that was given to me wasn't going to be wasted. I had to, if I accepted XYZ benefit, I had to go into XYZ program that was going to help me successfully get out of the community college and get into a 4-year university. So I think that it shouldn't be just about, I'm going to give it to these people, but it should be about, okay, if I'll give you this, but you got to do that so that, you will have maybe some type of success when you get out. So it does need to be guidelines. There's nothing in this world that really doesn't have guidelines. So why should there not be guidelines on this Section 8? And I'm sorry, because I know people that they're landlords, and I unfortunately know people that they have some tenants that have Section 8, and the minimum amount that they have to pay, they don't pay it because they feel like, oh, you already got the check from the state. And those checks from the state, they don't come monthly. They come every quarter or something like that. So if you owe the landlord your portion of $150, you should pay it. And not everybody does. Felicia, you want to say something before I move?
Yeah, because I'm on you. Are you talking about Nakia from the Burger King?
Yeah, I am.
No, I don't agree with you at all. No, the way they treated her, because she was late a couple of times.
So, but where did I say something about that they treated?
You said, well, the manager gave her an opportunity because she had a record.
That came out of her mouth. So I'm repeating what she said. So what my point in saying that was that there are some people in this world, because I also know people that went to jail, and when they got out, they had trouble getting jobs. So they didn't have an opportunity to select, well, I want to work here versus there. They ended up working their first job. They ended up working was because somebody decided to give them an opportunity.
Oh, well, that's
why. That's
different. That's different.
Yeah,
but
that's
this
a situation.
And this other piece about, well, they gave me this and they give me this. I don't know everyone's history. I know mine. My family built this country. My children's fathers, people, been here for 600 years coming out of Sumter, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They work for free. They ain't get paid yet. So, no. Section 8 ain't no crutch. It's not no, you got to go through paperwork. You have to show documentation. You have to show that there's a need. Now, some people, just like everything else, have figured out how to work within the system. So nothing is always a 100% genuine. But where I live, there would be more than, gosh, how many families on the street? Because the rent here is too damn high. And if it wasn't for the housing vouchers, these families would be put out. Period. I'm not talking about no $500 rent. I know folks paying, supposed to pay like $4,200, $4,500. So what they pay is their fair share, let's say at $1,900.
That is something different. The people I know, first of all, let me say this. I think many places the rent is high now, and I may have to ditch this last story because I didn't know this topic was going to be this topic. I maybe ditch the last story and put it on tomorrow night for trending topics. But let me say this, Jersey rent is high too. But I don't know many people that are living in $4,000 apartments and they have the Section 8 to supplement that. I don't know many people in that situation that they can be on Section 8 and still pay $1,900 themselves. I don't know that particular situation. Give me a second, Keisha. So I don't know that situation. The people I know that are getting Section 8, maybe their portion ends up being $100 to $200 at best, but I know somebody that only had to pay $50. And so, and the way Section 8 is, they're always in your business. You always have to submit all of your documents every year so that they can determine whether or not, and you're supposed to tell them also if your financial situation changes, whether it changes to the left or the right. So as soon as you make $1 more, you got to let them know, and they're going to raise your portion up to be more based upon that. So that's the Section 8 I know. I don't know nobody in Jersey, because Jersey apartments are expensive too. Because my kid just got an apartment for college and the darn rent is $3,800, okay, a month. So Jersey is expensive too. I think a lot of places now, the rent is simply expensive, whether you're New York, New Jersey, Houston, wherever. Rent is out of control. So I think it needs to be a greater equalizer, because the simple fact of there are people that are working that make, what some people may consider a good salary, but when $4,000 of your month, of your money every month has to go towards rent, it's like, ouch. But those particular people, they make a certain amount of money, but they're not eligible to get Section 8 or to get subsidized housing. So yes, and no matter what subject we talk about, You're always going to have people that will buck the system and take advantage of it. It happened with those PPE loans. But what I'm saying is, if you don't give people the tools to rise above their situation and they don't have the mindset to do it themselves, 20 years later, they're still getting Section 8. 20 years later, they're still getting SNAP benefits. At some point, you got to give them some type of tool, or say, take a class here, get a certificate so you can get a job doing this XYZ, and you can rise above this particular situation. That is my thought process. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to say something, Diva. It's such a confusing topic. Like, especially what you said, giving people the opportunity, because I'm so for this, because like I said, being in the restaurant industry, I never had to drug test people, background checks, nothing. And especially with Waffle House, I helped so many people because it's a helping company where you can make a lot of money. You can be just getting out of jail, and then 2 months later, I see you in your new apartment, because we want to see that success story. But a lot of companies aren't like that. And then when I got into the new field, and I was just like, even before 47 was running, and I remember I drove past the U.S. State Penitentiary here in Atlanta, and I drove past it, and I was like, "What is that building? It looks so scary, like an asylum." Like, I was like, "What is that?" And I came. This was way before he started to run, and I came home. I did some research on it. Saw what it was. You're still operating, and I remember I saw them, like I always said on this channel, when 47 was running. That's when I saw somebody had ran for president and they were in prison. And then I came back to work, and I was just like, I can't hire somebody for a $10 an hour job because they have a felony for stealing something for $50, or because they got a domestic violence fight with their husband and they were trying to defend themselves, and now they have a felony, and we can't hire them for a $12 an hour job. That's ridiculous. So some people do need help, but like you said, they need the knowledge and the tools to be able to rise above it. And last thing I'll say, the only thing that has stuck in my mind since forever with the Section 8 and the snaps and all that stuff, my friend, I remember I had to fire her because she didn't show up one day, and then she said she was going to the doctor and her documents didn't add up, so we had to let her go. And I never forget, after she got fired, and this is a Caucasian girl, she got fired. She ended up getting the SNAP benefits. And I remember I would be coming home from work, going to McDonald's. I was still working, back then I was making good money for myself, but I was coming home working. And I remember she would be on the phone with me talking about how she just bought mussels, snow crab, all this stuff from the stores, but she wasn't even thinking about trying to get a job. And I'm the one going to work every day, and she's abusing it. So stuff like that. And then I think we need more people. I don't think it's always totally the people. We need people, they need to correct the system where if people are getting these things, they need to really investigate it, because there's so many people that have it, that have lied, and they don't. It's people that have jobs like us that have it. I had a manager, she was making more money than me, but she had the SNAP benefits because she had lied on applications. So stuff like that, that's what needs to be investigated. It doesn't need to be taken away from the people that actually need it, but I do think they need some kind of stipulations. That's it.
Can I say one thing, Diva?
Give me a minute and I'll let you speak. Let me just throw this out there, and I ain't trying to set the train on fire. What I find interesting is, and I'm not going to fight nobody over the statistics, I don't even want to go there. Everybody's saying we're not high beneficiaries of these programs. Then why be upset if they're being cut and taken away? Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, when the food, I'm take it back. When people was getting food stamps and all that type of stuff, they didn't have these computers like they do now. Most time when you getting these SNAP benefits and you go in there, these people know when you work, when you got fired, how much you making, if you got a job. They said you can go in there and lie if you want to. They got it right there in front of them. So when people saying that people are lying now to get food stamps, I'm not saying it's not happening, but most people that I know in the system that I know, you can't lie right now to get them food stamps. Back in the day, people used to say, well, if your mom making too much money, you can say you staying with your auntie, you preparing your food separate and all that type of stuff. It don't wash like that no more. That computer gonna tell them, this is how many kids she got, this what she worked, this her income. So with people getting those food stamps, they're not getting them because they're lying. They getting them because they fell into that bracket. That's how they're getting them. They're not lying no more, because if they lying, you can go into a food stamp office right now. Your folks gonna pull up the first time when you lost your job, how many jobs you had, and everything. See, back in the day, you could lie about it, but right now you can't lie about it because they know everything before you even walk up in that office. Only thing they want you to do is sign that paper, because if you lie, it's sitting right there on that computer, and then you're gonna be caught for trying to get food stamp on fraud. So I'm telling you right now, if you're going in trying to lie to get food stamps, you're gonna be locked up because they already got your stuff in that system. And they looking at it right when you walk through that door. That's all I got.
Thank you, Felicia. And then I come to you, Callie.
Diva, first of all, I don't know that people, particularly Black people like me, are upset about them ending programs. First I'm hearing about it is on your panel. And if people are upset, and those who need it, they should be upset. And perhaps, as Keisha said, folks will organize and figure out how to protect their resources. And number two, co-counsel, you are absolutely correct, because I remember when it became mandatory to have health insurance. And so they had health insurance in an open marketplace, and you could go online, or you can go into one of these organizations and get your health care benefits, because I forget what was going to happen if you didn't have health care when the Obama thing came into law.
It was going to be something on your taxes that you was going to have to pay.
Yeah, something like that, right? And when I walked in, the only thing that woman didn't know about me was what size shoe I wore. She knew everything, every job, my kids' names, where I just gave her my social security number. She knew everything. So you are absolutely correct. If they want how much money you earn, how many dependents you have, if you filed your taxes, so forth and so on. So I agree with you. Your co-worker, your former co-worker, Keisha, she probably fell within the guidelines and was eligible. You may find it very odd, but it turns out here in this city, they say many of our law enforcement, NYPD, are eligible for SNAP. And they get up and go to work every day. So that's not a criteria. I think it's the stereotyping and the stigma that has been put upon Black people in this country, that every benefit that is labeled or considered a handout, we are the first online. And I say, BS, pay us our money, okay? Give us our reparations, acknowledge our hard work, and then let's talk about what may or may not be considered a handout.
I appreciate you. I'm coming to Callie. I'm on the train by myself tonight, because I'm gonna say this. There was recently a woman that was collecting benefits in what it is, about 5 or 7 different states. Those systems are not as connected as we think. Maybe in one town it may be a little more connected than other, and they can pull up and get all your information, but not all of them have all of your information, because I've seen people get over. Callie, your thoughts?
Well, there actually was a woman here. She was caught, and she might be still in jail, actually, because I know she was arrested. I believe she was like Armenian or Russian or something. And she actually, I believed, worked for the housing board, and she was charging people like $15K to get on Section 8. And then they were using the Section 8 to live in high-end communities like Beverly Hills, Bel Air, anywhere they had like high-end apartments. And they actually caught her getting out of her Mercedes. She had the big body Mercedes. I will never forget this. They arrested her getting out of that Mercedes. And this was like a few years ago. Like I said, the woman might still be in jail. So there are people that still try to scam the system. But I do think that they're ultimately caught. I don't think that those are the people that are able to be on there for like 20 years. You know, I do think the technology has kind of caught up with that a little bit. And I definitely wouldn't do it. My concern is because I see the way the economy is going. So yeah, people might not be on these programs now, but all these people, this 300,000 Black women that lost their jobs this year, if they don't find another job soon, what do you think is going to happen to them? Like seriously, like I don't think that people really have seen how bad the economy has gotten since the cost of living literally almost doubled overnight. And it wasn't just the pandemic. This had millions of people come here that wasn't supposed to be here. And I feel like that's something that nobody wants to address, and nobody wants to really address what happens when to the economy when that happens. I can tell you when that happens. The wages go down and the cost of living goes up. There's not millions of extra jobs. There's not millions of extra houses. They're actually, there's a lot. So there's a lot of factors at work, but that's part of it. So my concern is, hopefully it won't come to that with me. But my concern is for other people. Also, my family is from a rural town in Louisiana. There's a section of that town. First of all, there's no jobs, there's no nothing for miles and miles. There used to be a Walmart, it closed down. Because a lot of people don't understand what Walmart did to rural America. They came in and they ran all the small businesses out. And then Amazon came and ran them out. So some of these places, there's nothing. So if you cut these people off section, I guess they're just going to be squatting in these buildings. That's probably what they're going to end up doing. And then the state is going to have to deal with them. It just occurred to me. They're just going to squat. And then the state is going to have to come up with something for them.
It's going to be chaotic. So
yeah.
I add this, I'm going to use the word benefits to use it loosely. I am a product of being a beneficiary of benefits, growing up, and just myself personally, right? And that's why I say that there needs to be some type of education, because the benefits were never meant to last forever. And see, a lot of these programs are built to keep you in poverty. So, if you don't find a way to utilize the benefit to your benefit, you are always going to stay below the poverty line. And I'll say that to say this. When I was looking for, and I looked for a home for a long time before I had the opportunity to purchase one. So in case people don't know, anytime, a lot of times when new developments are being built, if they're getting money from the city, the state, or whatever, they are required to have a certain portion of that housing that is being built dedicated to the low income, whether it's renting or purchasing. So I was going to purchase it. It was a very nice town in Jersey, and they was building the developments. And I was on a list. I was on a general list where it didn't matter where it was going to be when housing development went up. And they had the allotment for the low income housing to purchase. I was on the list, and I could go look to see, do I want to purchase there? But when I say this low income, it wasn't like you was getting a house for $1 or $100,000. It was close to market value, but it just wasn't the same value as the rest of the units were being sold. Here's where it stopped me personally, because when you get a home and you want to do upgrades, the upgrades is not going to cause you a discounted price. It's going to cause you the regular market value price. But whenever you go to sell that home that you purchased as part of a low income housing, you can't just put it back on the market and sell it to anybody for the current market value. It has to be sold back to the community as a low income housing. So maybe I bought it, I'm gonna make up a number at 150,000, and 10 years later I go to sell it, but the market value for low income is 250,000. Even if every other house in that development is now selling for 500,000, I can only sell mine for 200,000 because I bought it as a low income housing. That's what stopped me from going ahead and taking advantage of those particular lotteries for that low income housing. So why am I saying that? because every program that they built to help you is built where you're 99% of the time going to stay below the poverty line unless you level up and understand that I'm going to use this right now, but I'm not going to stay in this, because if I stay in this, I'm never going to be able to rise above in a legal way. There are people that rise above it, but they're gaming the system. Yes, because you are part, thank you for the words, Measure Man. Because you are part of the urban housing program in the FHA. That's exactly it. So when I learned what they were saying and how I was going to be locked in, I was like, okay, well, if I renovate a bathroom or my kitchen or upgrade the floors from the carpet into to hardwood floors, no matter what value I bring my house up to, it's going to go back in the market as a low income housing when I'm ready to sell, right? And then it was issues too when you, like, if you want to transfer, because we all got to go one day, right? If I want to transfer to the kids or whatever the case may be. So my whole point of this conversation is, I'm not against Section 8. I'm not against SNAP. I'm not against any of these programs. I know that they are needed, because this girl right here was a benefit of it, because coming up at a certain point, my mother was a recipient of it, but she got off. So all I'm saying is that it should not be 20 years later, I'm still on SNAP, because I say, then the government and everybody who gave you the program, they failed you. They failed you. It should be a temporary situation, and it has to, and that you come off, but it has to be a bigger picture of everything that's going on in the world. And if we're waiting, whether it's 47, when we get 48, or whether it was 35 or president number 20, the government is not going to help you. I read this book one day in my book club that said Monday's not coming. And it was about a character in the book. It wasn't the actual day Monday. But all I'm saying is, if we are waiting on the government to help us raise up and raise above, then we already failed. And you know, Keisha, you mentioned something about when will we organize? When will we this? When will we that? If I go into that, we're going to be 3 hours in, and I'm in overtime right now. But I do, and maybe we just have to have a part 2 of this conversation, because I do have a thought process on that too. I'll tell you a simple thing to say that, and I think I mentioned this before when we talked about work. Everybody is behind you until it's time for you to go speak up. And then you look back and you're the only one in the room speaking up. The people, our ancestors, and us, we ain't built the same. Our ancestors went through a lot, and they stand tall, and they made change, and they fought through it all. Now you turn around, and all you need is one person. If they come to you, Keisha, and they say, you know what, Diva over there, she tripping. But guess what we'll do? We'll make you the manager. We'll give you a $20,000 raise. And next thing you know, I'm not saying you personally, Keisha, next thing you know, that person ain't for the cause no more. They for themselves, because they like, I got to feed my family. I got to pay my mortgage. I got to do this. They giving me a raise. Now all of a sudden, the management is fine. They ain't never bother me. I'm sorry they doing that to Diva. I ain't in it no more. It ain't my business. I'm turning a blind eye. This whole thing with Target, I am happy and surprised that it has been so successful. But getting us together and getting us organized and getting us all on one accord is brutal.
But Diva and Keisha, Reverend Al is marching on Wall Street next week. And he got buses coming from a good many places. He got them coming from Georgia, Keisha. Get on the bus, girl. Meet me up.
Definitely. Okay, yeah, for real. I'm going to look it up.
National Action Network. We going to be there.
Amen. Amen.
And Diva, can I say one more thing?
You can.
Really quick.
Yes.
One country that does have like social programs that are really good and working well for the people and like the community is with it is Norway. So if you can look them up like on YouTube in your free time and see how their programs work, even with people that are on drugs, it's like you said, we have to have like We have to have programs to help people. And, you know, America, one of the things that is so great about America is our freedom. But I think that we do have to like take some of these people, grab them by the reins and make them clean up. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the stuff just needs to happen, you know, and some, you know, my mom used to say, you rather do what the Lord tell you than have the Lord like remove you from a situation. And I
Mm,
think like that's where our country is at. Like we, like I said before, our ancestors and those before us paved the way for these freedoms and for everyone else to come here and enjoy these freedoms. And we just kind of dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? And as a people, as a country, we can all come together, put, you know, the color and stuff aside. We can all come together. And I think we can all admit that. If we can all admit that fundamental thing, then we could come together and we could fix this. But Norway, it's a great. I watched the documentary, Diva. It
mm.
was really, really good. Like people got clean, people that were homeless, people that were working low income jobs, people coming out of prison. They had a gambit of different individuals, and you followed them and how they lived and how they, yeah, the system helped them and how they got off. So I think everyone should check it out.
Yeah, I will. I'll come to you, Keisha. I saw you took yourself off of mute. Give me 1 second here. I want to add this to the conversation too. 90% of the problems that we have, they can be resolved because we've seen them do it in real time when they want to, right? This whole substance situation is so out of control now. It's beyond sad. And then after I go to Keisha Callie, I come to you. I saw you took yourself off of mute. And the reason why I say that is when I knew they can solve the problem is when K2 was a problem. I don't know if anybody remember when that substance was a major problem. And it was just kids. And I was working in a hospital at the time, and it was beyond sad. They were just finding them passed out on the streets. And in Jersey, I could say for Jersey, right? Once they entered into neighborhoods that did not look like mine, and those particular kids was passing out and dying off of this, in the blink of an eye, the K2, and they called it an epidemic. They didn't call these people drug addicts and crackheads and all of this stuff. They called it an epidemic. I could probably bring up a news clipping from that time. They called it an epidemic. I said, well, ain't there something here? When it's not in our neighborhoods, it's an epidemic. When it's in our neighborhood, we drug addicts, all this other kind of stuff. Right now in Harlem, because now they set up these centers where you could come and get a needle so you're not, you know, injecting yourself with a needle over and over, the same needle over and over again. These people are like zombies in the streets. And they're literally, I think I showed y'all one trending topics. They're literally having sex in the daylight in the streets. This is crazy. Keisha, your thoughts, and then I'll go to Callie.
Okay, so kind of a little off topic, but still on topic. I just want to say to everybody in the chat, I think a lot of our stuff, which they're trying to erase, which is crazy, I talk about it all the time, is our history. And I can just say this from personal experience because I grew up around all different types of people. I never, like they say, kids don't see color. I never saw color. I never saw black, white. I grew up with all people. I've dated all people. And probably not even until my 30s where I started doing just research myself. I'm from Savannah, like I told you guys. And I'm from Savannah. And when we were going on field trips, I'm from Savannah. And I'm thinking the South won the war because that's the way they taught us down there. We won the war. And I'm going to Stone Mountain to the laser show for fun. I'm like, now I'm thinking, like, why did my dad take me to the laser show? And my dad was a cop. Why did he take me there? But once I've started doing that research for myself, you guys, we have to teach our younger people about this because that's the other problem. That's why we can't rise above what's going on now because they don't know the history. Until I started learning about so many different things in our culture, the red zoning with the what we're talking about with the subsidizing with the housing. You won't even know about that kind of stuff. They don't know about that kind of stuff, about what that happened. They don't know about the war. They don't know about that. But so we can't have pride in ourselves. Once I started doing all that research and actually learning about our culture, and I talked to my mom. Remember, I talked to my mom before my grandma passed away and my aunt. And I remember I talked to her and I was like, well, how come you guys don't ever talk about this? And that's another thing in our culture. We don't talk about it because it was so detrimental. So we don't even know. She said, well, maybe we just never talked about it because it was bad. But we got to start talking about our history, knowing it, because then once we know it, we can have pride. I can know, like, why are all the black people in one community? They're not just in one community because they can't afford to live somewhere else. They're in that community because of what happened from history. It's a lot that happened back then. So there's so many things that we need to educate our kids because they have no idea. The stuff that they see on TikTok and YouTube, I comment some stuff and they go, oh, well, you're just old. Racism doesn't exist anymore. They don't even know the culture. So we have to educate our people and let them know what's going on because they literally have no idea. Like I didn't have no idea till I was in my 30s about all this stuff that's happening. And that's what he's trying to do. Literally, I saw a cartoon. I think I told y'all that a cartoon where he was talking about slavery and saying we shouldn't be mad about it. Like, how are we going to ever, if we don't know our history, we can't go anywhere if we don't know it. So that's my only thing, Diva.
Thank you. Callie, your thoughts?
Oh no, I was just gonna make a quick comment about Norway, and it's very close to what Keisha was saying. Norway and a lot of other countries are not set up on a system of let's destroy the people that are already here so we can bring more people here. And in our case, the people that were already here with us, we were the working class. They literally, this is what's happening now, has been happening since the 1800s. Even Martin Luther King spoke about this. And these people aren't just allowed to come here, they're financially set up. And that's why I'm not okay with anything being taken away from us, because we're in a system competing with people that are getting benefits. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge or they don't even know about, that these people are getting tax breaks and loans and all scholarships, all kind of stuff when they come into this country. And I think they are told not to talk about it. But I went to a school that was very international and there were some slip ups. So when we say that, you know, we want reparations or benefits or whatever, we're not asking for something that other people are already getting, that is just called something else. They just put another label on it. So the stuff in Norway, they're never going to do that here because they actually want to harm the people here to keep them down so they can't resist them bringing more people here to lower the wages. That is literally why the whole era happened with the rock and all of that stuff in the 80s and the 90s. They could have closed the border then. All of that stuff came over the border and they could have dealt with the corruption within the CIA because I know that they had a hand in that. But what I'm saying is that literally could have stopped. They could have just said somebody's poisoning our citizens. We got to shut the border down until we figure out something else. But the border has to be closed because there's poison coming in here. They did not do that because they wanted us to be poisoned. So some of these things that work in other countries are not going to work here because other countries are not built on the idea that we have a group of people here that we need to oppress so other people can be okay.
Whew. Listen, y'all got me in overtime. Go ahead, Felicia, and then I'm closing out.
Callie beautifully said, and in 2 words, it's called corporate welfare. Okay? That's who's getting the real money. Okay? That's where the tax breaks are going. And yes, there are people who come here and they are set up. They never, some in this community, ever have to go to a social welfare office. They have an ambassador, someone who represents that family and goes there on their behalf. And they set them up in housing. No, they're not out opening the door at the Dunkin' Donuts for $2. And yes, they are the recipients of many of these programs. But we don't really see that in mainstream media. They want to depict the Black, the brown, the immigrant as the recipient, not necessarily the white immigrant who has been told, come, we'll give you everything. We're ready for you. You don't have to worry. Bring your whole family. We'll do all your paperwork. We'll do this. We'll do that. So no, these programs that we're talking about, we are not the majority recipients, but we are the majority who worked for and built this country. And until the money that is owed me, that check that Dr. King spoke about, that came back void, that check gets paid. I don't want to hear the complaints. I'm done.
Okay, everybody's saying there should be a part 2. I am at the 2-hour mark and some minutes after. I really, truly appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for hanging in there. This last story, because I do want to talk about this particular creator, beauty creator that died. I will add her to tomorrow night's trending topic. This is, I never know where these stories are gonna go, and I thought this Section 8 was gonna be boom and we was gonna be done, but I do get the conversation around it, and I appreciate the conversation around it. Go ahead, Katrina.
Oh, I'm sorry, girl. No, but I was just gonna back you on what you were saying about the epidemic or whatsoever, and it was just like with the a controlled substance. It wasn't going anywhere until we had over 3,000 young white kids overdosing. That's when they tried to say it was an epidemic. The whole time, people have been taking this medication and doing things on this medication, but until they start overdosing and dying, that's when they pull back on that medication. The medication, they lowered the dose and all that type of stuff, but before then, they didn't care. But when their kids start dying from it, that's when they cared. And that's a sad situation because that medicine is no joke. It's there, to help the people with surgeries and people that actually need it. But when you taking it and you don't need it, that's when the problem comes in. And that's when all of them was overdosing and dying and unaliving themselves or whatsoever. And then they switched from that to the H because it was cheaper than paying for the controlled substance that they was buying. So I get exactly what you're saying. They don't do anything about it until it started affecting their neighborhoods. But that's all I got.
Thank you. So listen, guys, yes, I'll do a part 2. We'll do a part 2. Let me see how I could pull it together. But this was great conversation. I appreciate y'all. Now y'all know the routine, right? If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, do the diva a favor. Hit the like button on the way out. We have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot to educate each other about. And here, right, everybody opinion matters. Okay. So I used to say all the time, catch the train, don't catch feelings, because I stand my ground, so you stand yours. But anyway, guys, thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.
Choo choo.